Yummy. That was fun. I really enjoyed doing that. There's a young director named Alan Powell who directed it, who you keep your eye out for him because he's going to be doing big things. I was really impressed with what he did with a low-budget film. It looks awesome. And this is a mystery thriller drama. Great story. Let's see.
Oh, you have a new book out that you were selling on your table.
It's actually not a new book. I'm ready. It's my second edition, and I'm actually selling off the last few ones that I have left, and I'm hopefully one of these days do the third edition. It's called Act Right, and it's a book about. Primarily, it was focused towards young actors coming into the profession, but it's also, I find a lot of people like to read it because they learn a lot about what goes on behind the scenes for an actor and what their job is all about. My girlfriend and I took 7 years to write it. Basically, we tried to make it very entertaining as well as we share all the embarrassing, humiliating stories of our lives as we entered into the world of acting and we learned our craft. Because unfortunately, a lot of actors study acting, but nobody ever tells them what to do when they get the job. So oftentimes they make a lot of mistakes and don't get hired again and wonder why. And a lot of little do's and don'ts and rules behind the scenes. And a lot of the thought behind the book is, or the basic theme of the book is that acting is a collaborative art. And this applies to almost any industry or work area, that you need to work as a team. And the best way to work as a team is to find out what everybody else's job is and be able to help them do their job better. And then everybody does better as a result. So hopefully, if you buy it, if you're interested, it's filled with lots of stories. You can pass all the technical stuff and just read the jokes and stories behind the scenes.
A question over on the side?
Yes.
Is there any one actor or actress who really stands out that you work with?
In a good way.
That's a good question, in a good way. Yeah, the bad ones, it's funny how those come up right away, right?
Not like the voice of Tweaky.
I did not work with Mel directly, but there are actors that you work with from time to time that you know that take your work to another level. I'm working with William Atherton, for example, even though we were doing this movie called Ghouls in Romania, watching him work and watching what he brought to a scene and how he sort of did extra homework to make his character more full. I mean, he was busy learning a lot of Romanian dialogue, and so he throw, it wasn't in the script, but he could throw little phrases here and there because he's supposed to be from Romania. So that, working with somebody on that level was great.
You worked with Angela Lancer.
I did, and she's quite a lady, and she's, as you can imagine, intelligent, graceful, just a pleasure, professional to work with all the time. But you know, each actor you work with has something. You know, Tom Selleck has great lips. You know, Robert Urich gives good hugs. You know, and I got to tell you, working with Robert Urich, I worked with him a couple years ago on a movie called Clover Bend before he passed away, and for some reason we work effortless together, and he makes me look good. I don't know what it is, just being around him. I would always just be really calm, and I would always feel very comfortable, and I would always feel like my acting was effortless. And when I see it on the screen, it looks that way, and it's just him. It's just what he evoked in me, and he just really was a great guy. So, it's funny, it's the bad ones that keep coming up in my mind, but we won't go there. Anyway.
Another question, maybe?
Yes.
Over the side?
Just an aside, I just want to say out loud that Gil Troy's very lucky to have a friend like you.
Oh.
That's very nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I had a question as far as Tai Chi. What about Tai Chi just attracted you? You're very interested in your class, but what was it that just turned you on?
All right. The question is, what brought me to Tai Chi, and how was it that I got so passionate about it? It was a number of steps along the road. One of them being beginning of the 1970s, when Nixon came back from China. The lead article in the New York Times is of a reporter having undergone surgery for an appendicitis attack that he had while he was on tour with the president. And that fascinated me, that he went under surgery. They used acupuncture. He had no pain medication. He was like watching them cut him open, do the surgery, tie him up. His recovery time was almost immediate. He said, you know, he had no drugs in his system, and he just couldn't believe that there was a methodology out there that you could do this. And so he was fascinated. I became fascinated with that. Cut to a few years later, I was working with James Garner on Rockford Files. James had injured his knee doing the stunt, and here he is, an action hero, and he couldn't take pain medication because you can't be, you get addicted to pain medication, and he didn't want to be drugged while doing this character. So the only thing that killed the pain was acupuncture. So I would, you know, talk to him about that, and I thought, well, here's another testimony yet again for this Oriental medicine. Let's find, and I'm a very curious person, and I'm hungry for knowledge, and so I went and investigated myself. Went to this acupuncture that James Garner recommended, and found that I felt great whenever I would leave after going through the process. He then, over the years, would explain to me that acting was dangerous to my health. And he explained to me that as an actor, it was my job to create these emotions, stay in this emotional level, intensified level for long periods of time, and it was throwing my body out of balance and weakening my immune system. Then I had to be very careful. And it started to make sense, because I've done roles where I played a mother, for example, whose daughter commits suicide, and I spent the entire day in rage and grief. And take after take after take, 20, 30 takes all day long. I'm crying, I'm switching from this anger and grief back and forth. I should not have been allowed to drive a car home. When they sent me home that night, I literally had to pull over at the freeway because the adrenaline was coming down out of my body, and I was having the shakes at the side of the road. If a cop had come by, he would have thought I was on drugs or something. But it was just the fact that as an actor, what I was doing was unnatural to my body, and my body did not know that these emotions are not real. My body, cortisol level is shooting, the adrenaline in the system is, you know, full blast. And so it started to make sense to me that if you do this day after day after day, you imagine someone like Farrah Fawcett, who did the play Extremities on Broadway, and she was beaten and raped every night for 9 months. And her body doesn't know that this is not real. Her body is reacting in fight, fright situation. So after a while, that wears your immune system down, and you get sick. And I was the kind of person who would get on an average of 4 or 5 colds a year. My overall emotion in my life was loss and grief. Parents divorced when I was young, you know, kept moving around every year of my life, so I was always losing friends, losing parents, losing, loss. So my lungs was where it would show up, and I would have all these colds and things. So one time on Silver Spoons, the producers had written an episode where Kate sings, and they knew it was really important to me because I can't carry a tune. And I had studied, I was bound and determined I was going to learn how to sing. I'd been studying singing for years, and finally I had the guts to sing, and they wrote this episode of Kate sashaying down the staircase singing a Cole Porter song, and my big moment. And I got sick. I mean, I had the worst cold possible, and they sent me home the day before we were supposed to shoot. And instead of going home, I went to the acupuncturist, and I said, "You have to heal me. I've been waiting for this moment for too long." So 3 hours later, all of a sudden I felt this rush of energy through my body, and I was lying there, and I just went, whoa, whoa. And he came in, he said, "Oh, you are better now, you're perfectly fine." And I was. The amazing thing, I got off the table, and my cheeks were rosy, my eyes were bright, and I felt great. And I was like death warmed over when I walked in. I went back to the studio, and they couldn't believe this was the same girl they had sent home. They wanted to know, "What drug are you on? We want some. This is too good." And I said, no, it's not a healthy way, you know. And I ended up performing the next day. I kept thinking, well, maybe this is too good. The next day I'm going to wake up and the cold's going to be back. No, I was fine. I went on to perform, and it was great. So that really convinced me. And then after that, he said to me, he says, "You'll have to come see me, spend $150 an hour, fill out the insurance forms. You learn Tai Chi, does the same thing." Sounds good. What do you mean? And I'm a person who had done a lot of aerobics and training for marathons, and so I was into the exercise routine and to stay thin and fit and whatever. And TV